Hello, it's Chaplin 73, and I'm joined today by an artist from Portsmouth called Paul. Probably you know him more, he's more well known as My Dog Size. Hello, mate. How you doing?
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is at the
Yeah.
moment right now. Yeah.
I dare say at the moment you haven't got a clue what time of day it is.
Yeah, it is one of those things where the time doesn't exist, but the number of things on the list increasing and decreasing does. So, yeah, I'm working to that time. Yeah.
Fabulous. Last time we spoke, we were a week or so before the Inside experience, exhibition, whatever we're going to call it. So yeah, we've got a lot of catching up to do, so we better just jump straight in. How did it all go?
Oh wow, it's been 2 years, which is really crazy. Um, I it's been a strange one because the exhibition itself was just beyond anything I could have ever imagined. You know, just being in the building for 16 days, having 10,000 people through the door over those 16 days, but being utterly broken. I mean, it took all the energy that I had to get the doors open and get everyone in. And I hadn't really kind of considered the reserves involved in then being in the building for 10 hours a day for 16 days straight. Then at the end of that show, having realizing that losing Jim and my security man, and we had to basically empty the building in 24 hours after the show had finished as well. So it kind of broke me, and it's taken quite a while to get past the kind of the feeling of being broken from it. But you know, we're 2 years down the line now, and I'm beginning to sort of look back and think about what I was able to achieve in that time. And yeah, it was pretty full on. It was pretty phenomenal.
I came along, as I said, I was going to come along on the last weekend, and I remember when I spoke to you, you said you were just going to sit on a stool and you know, enjoy it, and you didn't do much sitting on a stool, from what I remember.
I don't even think we had stalls. I hadn't organised stalls. They weren't on the list of things to do. But I think, you know, the highlight for me was just standing outside the ballroom, watching people climb through the hole in the wall downstairs, make their way up through the staircase, not really sure what they were going to experience, and the, you know, the gasps and the kind of the noises that people were making as they looked through the kind of broken glass and entered into that ballroom space was yeah, it was pretty special. I mean, I always knew when I ran upstairs and walked through that door that entering the space was cool. But yeah, it was so lovely to see the expressions and hear the voices, and you know, hear how everybody had kind of taken to it, and you know, people that would find themselves a spot and sit themselves down in absolute silence, kind of in awe of what was going on, and there are other people kind of running around going, look at this, look at this, look at this. And yeah, it definitely made it all worthwhile. It was yeah, a real highlight.
It was a really immersive experience, and I just couldn't get over the fact that everywhere I looked there was something. You know, there wasn't really a space really that didn't have something in it. It was quite phenomenal.
Yeah. What was quite interesting is because when I started, I hadn't really considered where the public would go. So, you know, you're saying there are things that, you know, you might have missed or that you hadn't seen. There are actually loads of things that everybody missed because I painted them in a place that wasn't visible to the public by the end of it. So I was talking to a photographer, Street Art Atlas, Faye, this week, and she came in and photographed the event, and she said she would wander off, and an hour later she would discover all these pieces that actually ultimately the public never did get to see. But for me, it was just, you know, fill the space entirely.
Yeah, I mean, it was, you know, it was a real experience, and it's something that will probably stay with me forever. And you obviously made a book as well.
Yeah, I think because, you know, I spent 2 years putting it together, and it was only open for just over 2 weeks. And the balance of the, you know, the effort involved in opening up a short period of time, it was really important for me that I kind of captured some sort of legacy. So I was really lucky. We've got some incredible photographers here in my hometown, and I got all of those on board. And I've got Paul, my filmmaker and sort of chief photographer, and he, you know, basically spent 2 years following me around the flea-ridden space. You know, we were gaffer taping up the bottom of our trousers to stop the fleas from climbing up our legs and things. And he documented that, and then so we put the book together. And I think it was really important that I just kind of captured all those tiny elements, not just the work on the wall and the sculptures, but just all the feel of what was going on. So, you know, I created a language, and that can be found in the book. And if you look through the book, and inevitably you can start to kind of decode what that says and read poems. And there's a hidden link inside the book, and if you find the hidden link, that leads you to a whole 2-hour narration of the book as well. So it was, you know, it was just like the exhibition. You were saying, you know, when you went in, there were things that you missed and that you didn't see. And I wanted the book to be the same thing. So I wanted that element of, you know, wanting to pick it up and discover something new every time you looked at it. So yeah, it was a fun one. I mean, it was ridiculous because, you know, you never make a book to make any money, right? You make a book as a passion project. It's so expensive to put together. And then they tease you, these book manufacturers tease you with like how much it costs to produce. You can have this many books for this much money. But if you double the amount of books you can have, it's only a little bit more than if you'd had half the amount of books. So I do have a studio with walls that are lined with boxes of books. You're going to get sucked into this. So yeah, I am reminded that I did this book every day when I walk into the studio.
Brilliant. Oh dear. So yeah, I recall having a conversation with you at the end of the last conversation. You mentioned that after it all, you're going to take 2 weeks off and see where you're at. How did that go?
Yeah, I did take a couple of weeks off, and I think we went away on holiday, and I just remember being so broken. I don't think we were in a caravan. I don't think I could leave the caravan for a week. I was just, and you know, and this idea of taking a couple of weeks to recover, actually, you know, realistically was 12 months. It was so hard to get back into the studio. It was so hard to, you know, creatively be excited about where you were moving forwards. And so I had to kind of look after myself and be a little bit gentle and kind of accept the fact that this wasn't, you know, a quick recovery and then jump into the next project. And it, you know, it took a good 12 months to kind of get past it really and kind of appreciate what I'd got into it. And it's been quite interesting. More last summer, I had the opportunity to catch up with, you know, Flem's a, you know, massive influence to me, huge artist, someone I, you know, massively admire, but I hadn't met physically. And I met him last summer at Look Up, and he had an exhibition called Mausoleum of the Giants, 12 months before mine, and it you know, it really had an impact on me. And I was talking to him about that and saying, you know, hey, how was it when you finished that exhibition? And he was like, I couldn't do a thing. I was dead. You know, 12 months before
You appear to
personally, but also creatively. Sorry, did you lose me?
I lost you for a second there. Yeah, you were just talking about Flem and the mausoleum and the fact that it took it out of him.
Yeah, it was really heartening to know that it wasn't just me kind of wimping out, and that a project like this for any artist, you know, no matter where they are on the ladder, you know, it's something that you really do invest your life and your health and everything in to try and produce.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's good to recognise that the actual toll that it takes on you personally, you know, and the effect that it has on your life as well. I remember you saying that, you know, your wife was looking forward to having you back.
Yeah, yeah. And what's really fascinating is during the exhibition, everybody was saying, "Oh, so what are you going to do next?" You know, I was ready to literally collapse in a heap on the floor. I hadn't even considered what I was doing next. That was a long way down the cards. Now, you know, we're 2 years down the line, and I've done lots of exciting things in that time, and I feel like I'm back on it again properly. But yeah, it was almost kind of like, oh, please don't ask me that. You know, don't ask me what I'm doing next when I haven't even finished this one.
Brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, so we want blood out of you, Paul. We want blood.
You get it every time. Yeah, every time. Yeah.
So obviously that 2 years ago, a lot's happened since then. So we'll try and go through a few bits and pieces that I just wanted to mention. The image that you did of the eye with the Ukrainian flag went viral. I've seen it in strange places. You know, how did all that come about?
That was yeah, it was a really strange one. I decided to do a book tour, a book signing tour. Release the book. There were loads of places that I hadn't been, I hadn't painted, and I thought, well, I can tick loads of boxes. I can pick cities that I've never painted in before, arrive there, go and paint the wall somewhere, and then do a little book signing, do a little talk, and kind of flog some books, and just chat to people. And I remember I'd arrived in Cardiff for the night before the book signing tour, sat in the hotel room, flicking through the channels, and the news was on, and there was this hideous, attack from the Russians on Ukraine, and I was kind of sat in the bed watching it, just thinking, oh, that's hideous, and I feel so helpless, and it's so close, and I think it was a shared experience from so many people, and I knew I had some yellow paint in the van, and I knew I had some blue paint in the van, and I had every intention of going painting some of my quiet little voices birds. It was just a little scabby graff alley in the back end, the arse end of Cardiff. And I rocked up super early in the morning, like I do, because I like to paint early, and pulled some paint out, found an old garage door, and stuck this piece up. And it was just literally a kind of gut response to how I was feeling. And little did I know that it would do what it did. And, like you said, it just went so viral. I mean, initially I was kind of seeing it being posted up and kind of sending a message going, oh, it'd be great if you can credit me because I painted that. And then, then you're doing that 20 times a day, and then you're doing that 20 times an hour. And then you realize, actually, this is nothing to do with you anymore. It don't, you don't own it. It's become its own thing.
It's bigger than that, yeah.
Yeah, and I got screen grabs of Japanese TV with people walking along with anti-war demonstrations, holding up photographs of this of this painting, photographs of this painting. And I was saying to you, I was on holiday in Northumberland, and walked past this little shop, and there was a massive photograph of it there, and I popped in and was like, that picture in the wall on the window you've got, I painted that. And they were, they just, that concept that there was somebody behind it was really strange. But brilliant. I was, contacted by some guys in Bristol who said, do we want to be, maybe raise some funds for that? So we did an open edition print release, or timed print release, over 48 hours. And that was just ridiculous. The guys at the print works were just kind of phoning me up going, I don't know if we can actually fulfill this many prints. It's and we raised about £48,000 from an unsigned, just a little tiny print. But there were, it was wonderful. It was really, really wonderful. It's and it was tagged back alley in Cardiff, and you can never, you really just don't, you aren't aware when something's going to happen or how something's going to happen like that. And of course now I'm getting messages from people going, well, can you do something with the Gaza flag? And then I'm getting messages going, well, can you do something from the Israeli flag? And can you, there are wars right across the world, and there's a balance. I could get sucked into painting eyes and tears with many, many flags behind, but it's as an artist, you've kind of got to pick your battles. You've got to decide when you're producing something and when it's really important for you to put it there, as opposed to doing it on request.
There's a story behind it. At the end of the day, you saw something on TV, you reacted to it, and you went out and did it, and that was the result. But like you say, you had no idea that it was going to be as it was. And if somebody asks you to recreate the same for something else now, it's kind of it's been done now, isn't it? So
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I feel I must mention Background Bob. You did a piece for Background Bob, and you did a piece on a wall that looked like it was on cardboard on the Background Bob.
Yeah, I mean, I've known Noah and Nathan and Laura for a good while now. I remember many years ago when Noah was only sort of 9 or 10, Nathan arriving at my studio. My studio was on the first floor, and kind of he'd driven from Essex with his wife and Noah, and said, we're here. We didn't realise you were on the first floor, and pulling Noah's wheelchair up onto the studio. And Noah is a staple in the street art world, and was a really important part, I think, of what's happened in the art world in general. And I was one of the first people that painted a scabby bit of cardboard that Noah had thrown a bit of paint on. And Nathan said, I've got this idea, I thought we might. Noah enjoys this painting. We've got a few of them. Maybe we can get a few people to paint them. And well, we all know the result of Noah's incredible project and the legacy that he produced. And I painted an Everyman with Noah as a collab, and I painted the Quiet Little Voices as a collab with Noah. So I was kind of greedy, and I'd done two. But of course, one of the things that I'm known for painting is eyes. And I think Nathan was probably kind of a bit fed up with me going, can I have another bit? Can I have another bit? Because I know there were a huge number of artists painting. And so he, had sent me a piece of cardboard that he'd painted. And I decided rather than paint on that piece of cardboard, I would use that as a inspiration for a piece. So I was commissioned to paint a piece down in Southampton, sort of city down the road from me. And so I recreated initially Noah's cardboard piece with the paint strokes as he painted them, and then threw my eye over the top, and then Noah in the reflection. And it was, it was a nod for everything that Noah and Nathan and Laura were doing within the Background Bob project, and a little nod to say thank you for letting me be part of what's going on. And it's lovely because, it's in a spot that it's never going to disappear. It's always going to be there. And I regularly get, tagged. And what's lovely is that, because I put by Background Bob and My Dog's Eyes, that, Background Bob gets tagged too. It's a collab piece between the two of us. So it was a real honor to be part of the entire project. And I think, three editions of the book, huge amount raised, nearly £250,000 raised for the book and the exhibitions, and I know that Nathan was constantly dealing with people saying, please can I be involved, please can I be involved, and there were full high level artists involved, but also just everybody wanted to get in on it.
Definitely I was very privileged to be involved with that, and I've spoken to Nathan several times, and he what a legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Do you know what the hardest bit is? We went to know, a lot of people went to know his funeral, and the service was incredible, and you realized how many people that he touched. And then at the end of the service, everyone was invited to stick a slap on his coffin, and I was kind of fine. I kind of managed to get through the service, but just sticking your sticker on that was just tugged at the heartstrings, that one. Yeah.
Well, you seem to have a thing about cardboard. The last time I saw you, well, the first time I ever saw you was on the Culture Show with a piece of I think you had a tin in your hand actually at the time, but the other two artists were painting on bits of cardboard. And the last time I saw you, you were painting a large piece of cardboard on a wall in Weston-super-Mare.
It's such a great material. I think a bit like the tin cans that I'm known for. It's there. It's ubiquitous. It's we live in this Amazon delivery society. My recycling bin is constantly full of bits of cardboard from stuff that's being delivered. In fact, my entire house is full of bits of cardboard at the moment that packaging for things. But and it's such a lovely surface to paint on. That I decided that I'm going to kind of put it at the forefront of what I'm working on. So I've kind of, pushed aside the traditional canvas, and I brought in scabby cardboard boxes, and the fragile tape and the brown tape and the clear tape that makes the cardboard look all shiny, and those fragile stamps and stencils and things that go on it. So I've properly immersed myself in working on this, what I think is just a beautiful surface. In fact, I've managed to find a printer that will print onto cardboard. So I've got a print edition, which I'm going to be releasing the news of in the next few days. So you've got an exclusive where we've actually printed on old cardboard boxes. So it's got the fragile tape, it's got that, the delivery guys have bashed it around, and it looks really, really scabby. But yeah, I think it's definitely an underrated surface. It's a surface that I've used for nearly 20 years, painting my Free Art Fridays.
Yeah.
When you're giving away work for free, then you can't afford to buy loads of canvases to do that with. So you find whatever you can. And I there's just something really nice about peeling back the layers and seeing the corrugation and that lovely absorbent surface. And there are a few artists that that use cardboard beautifully. One of my favorites is a stencil artist called Evo, and he paints these kind of huge kind of Russian 50s tower blocks, but on cardboard surfaces. Absolutely stunning. And I know, I'm friends with the Snick guys, and I know they often, the first spray of their stencils that have spent months and months and months cutting, is a cardboard spray just to test it out, make sure that it works. And I always just think, those test sprays on cardboard, they're almost nicer than the ones on canvas that come a little bit later. Personal preference, but yeah. So I am literally surrounded. I'm in a spare room at the moment, there is no room to move, and everything's piled up with many pieces. In fact, I've just been in Penge in South London for the last couple of days, painting up there. And I've done 2 pieces, a little bit like the Western Wall, that kind of pull on the that kind of cardboard reference.
Fabulous. I know you were trying to find a piece of fragile tape so that you could get that right on the picture. Last time I saw you,
I found it on one box of the spray paint that came with me, all crinkled up, and
brilliant.
Yeah, and a little bits of gaffer tape as well. There's
I did see the finished piece and thought, well, he must have found a piece.
Joe, I spent a whole day measuring the letters on the fragile tape so that I could scale it up for the wall, because it originally wasn't part of the wall at all. I was just going to do the cardboard and the eye, and I realized there was, sometimes you look at a piece when you finish and you think something not quite right about this, and then I was kind of annoyed with myself that I realized what the answer was, because the work involved in trying to paint a piece of fragile tape is fairly the learning curve was steep, let's put it that way.
I don't doubt it. So the other thing was obviously Portsmouth Lookup. You mentioned it briefly earlier. You did quite a bit of stuff there.
Yeah, I mean, I've been very lucky that I've been invited to paint in lots of festivals around the world. And you go to some festivals and you think, oh, they're doing that well. I like the way that they're doing that. And it's a shame, because I get all the glory, but I'm not the one that does all the work. Angela, my project manager, is the kind of brains behind Lookup, really. And I had the pleasure of picking my favourite artists in the world, and phoning them up and saying, do you want to come to Portsmouth and paint? And I think of my city now as my gallery. I can drive anywhere in the city and spot pieces by my favourite artists. And Angela's one that hides in the background and does all the hard work. But yeah, I've got a city I live in a city that is really becoming more and more open to street art and the value of street art and the value of art on the streets. I can remember, I've been working on the street for 20 years. I can remember shaking a can to spray something 20 years ago, and then immediately someone phoning the police and the police turning up. It was all about vandalism then. It was all about, oh, you're ruining our place of where we live. And now I'm getting phone calls going, can you come and paint the place where we live? And so being able to be part of organising to bring world-class artists into the city was really, really wonderful. And not just that, but then providing an opportunity for emerging artists and for local artists to learn from those people that are, that have been doing it for a long, long time and know what they're doing. And I get to drive around my city and spot these pieces everywhere I go, which is, it's such a privilege. I'm really, really pleased. It was blooming hard work, and anybody that runs a festival, I doff my cap to you. All those people that run festivals, until I was involved in actually doing it, I had no idea quite what was involved in that. It's a crazy, crazy, thankless, manic time, but the results and the impact of what you do is so incredible.
And you also did a treasure hunt, didn't you? Did everything get found?
Well, that was a funny one. So it was kind of one of these things that stumbled across. I kind of looking back through all my old photographs and what I was doing, and it was a sudden realization that actually My Dog Size has been going for 20 years. And I thought, well, I can't let 20 years pass. I can't, not celebrate that in some way. And I could have done an exhibition, but I'd done the exhibition with Inside, and I was trying to think about something. And the thing that I'm known for is the Free Art Friday stuff. So initially it was just a kind of low key, well, I'll paint a few pieces of cardboard, or I'll paint a few tin cans, and I'll hide them around the city Easter weekend, and it will kind of be fun. And then I was talking to a few people, and then I stumbled across the idea of, what if we minted our own My Dog Size coins? They'd kind of be cool. And then I was like, what if I did a print release? And then I could hide the prints around. That would be cool. And then it was like, well, everybody's going to want to drink. So what if I designed beer mats and I hid them in pubs all around the city? But there was a different beer mat, different in each pub. So you had to go to at least 4 different pubs to collect the 4 to... And it was one of these things that kind of, what if? And it snowballed and snowballed and snowballed. And before we knew it, last Easter, I think I put together about £40,000 worth of work. And I had teams of people helping me hide it. And we had close to 30,000 people arrive in the city to go hunting for this treasure hunt, until it got to the point that I would post a clue as to where a piece was. And so many people arrived at that one spot within the city that roads were being closed down. People were just parking their car, abandoning their cars, and then running to try and find the spot. So I kind of had to deal with the council a little bit there, and they were like, can you consider how you're doing this, and the health and safety aspect of what was going on. But it was phenomenal. I was walking along the seafront, and 60% of the people that I was seeing were wearing My Dog Size merch or were running around. And there was this real community feel. There were people that had found more than one thing, and they could see someone that was hunting that didn't find anything, and they would pass it to them, or they were swapping beer mats. I've got 2 red ones, but I need a yellow one.
Yeah.
And that was so unexpected, but so wonderful. So the idea that people would kind of help each other out and share in the excitement of what was going on. I was knackered. I was getting up at 3 a.m. to hide all the clues every morning, but it was, it was a buzz. It was, and then you get the question, are you going to do it every year? It's like, whoa, I might do it for special occasions, but it might not be every year.
Maybe in another 20 years.
Yeah. That's what I did say, but I'm now beginning to think maybe 5 or another 10.
Yeah. I mean, I did pick up on that online. I was following it online. Unfortunately, I couldn't get there, but I was hoping to, but I couldn't in the end. But I was following it online, and I did see all of that. I've got 2 of this beer mat. Does somebody want to swap with another? A different color or whatever? And it was really nice to watch. It was really nice. That real sense of community. And another thing that's just come into my brain, Big Issue.
Yes, I think I decided last year that I wanted to. I'd done some work with Big Issue before. I decided I would want to focus on trying to raise some money for some different charities, and I'd worked with Big Issue before doing some wrapping paper for a few of their Christmas editions, and they were keen to work with me. So yeah, we put a big exhibition together with a print release to raise some funds for the big issue. And then one of the pieces has more recently gone into Bonham's, the auction house, and that was auctioned off to raise some funds for them. I think because my work lends itself, it mirrors so much what I see with the homeless community around where I live. That idea of kind of materials that, with a little bit of love and a little bit of effort, you can bring back to life again. You know, you can give new meaning to, and I really feel that that's the same with the people that we see on the streets around. You know, they were useful at some point. They were somebody's loved one, and then, you know, for whatever reason, they got into predicament they were. But a little bit of effort, a little bit of love, and you can see it with some wonderful charities that, you know, that do that. You can give people a chance to get back on the ladder and get back going again. So yeah, it was an honour to do.
I completely relate to that, because obviously I work in mental health, and you know, people are written off by people just by how they present on that day, whereas actually everybody's got a story, and we very often don't know that story, do we? So, you know, yeah, I completely get that. And that brings us to you know, an upcoming exhibition in London.
Yeah, so I had my filmmaker Paul follow me through inside, and initially it was going to be like 3 or 4 months. He was going to follow me around, record a little bit, and then we'd put some social media posts out using the film that he'd made, and it turned into him following me around for 2 years. So I kept a video diary. He'd interviewed me every month for 2 years, and then we got to the end of the time, and he said, "I've about 10,000 hours worth of footage here, Paul. What should we do with it?" So we decided we would kind of do something with it and see if we can try and pull it together and turn it into something. So we've actually made a couple of films, a short film and a full-length documentary. And I am now currently in the midst of preparing. In fact, where are we? Wednesday today. On Saturday, I leave home and fill the van up and head to London. I've hired a space up there, Copeland Gallery in London, and I am opening a full solo show and the premiere of the short film, which will release next Thursday, the 9th. I should be organised to know this. So it's a non-ticketed turn up for the private view on Thursday if you want to, and then we're open all weekend, so 9th to the 12th. Hiring a space in London, oh my God, it's so expensive. It's crazy. I mean, I didn't book this one, but Angela, my project manager, was hunting out venues, and she said, "I found the perfect venue, a little bit grimy, which is what you want, you know, a bit warehousey." What did £20,000 a day? Just hiring. So we're open for a very short period of time in South London, not trendy East London. But it's a brilliant space. The Copeland Gallery is a really, really fantastic space. Big 5-room warehouse space, one of which we're turning into a cinema. And then the others are gallery spaces, some installation work as well. So something which kind of echoes the inside. And the idea is I wanted to give an opportunity for those people that didn't get to inside to kind of get a feel for what that was like. But also, you know, inside is 2 years down the line, and I have been developing as an artist, and I've learned so much about working on that project that what I've got, you know, surrounding me now, and what I'll be bringing and putting into the exhibition is kind of the what happened next. That idea that you know, as artists, we develop, you know, we learn new things all the time, and we pick things up and we run with them for a bit, and then we work on from there. So I'm really excited. It's a whole new body of work that I've been working fervently away on, and I'm ready to get out.
And first solo exhibition in London for how many years?
Well, I did the big issue exhibition last year, but that was a there were 7 pieces. It was a small
Yeah.
show, but I think it's probably 4 or 5 years since I did anything big in London, and it's nice to get back up to the capital again and get my work out there. It's important that I'm an artist everywhere, not just in one place. So I'm looking forward to it. The logistics, I've had to hire a lorry to get everything up there. I thought, I could fit it all in my van, and then when I realised, actually, no, I'm building one of those big pods that we had inside in the gallery, and I'm bringing some of the sculptures that were there, and I've painted on these huge doors, and it's kind of suddenly realizing that this isn't something that's going to fit in the backpack of my van. So the logistics of getting everything up to London is a fun one, but I think it should be really good fun. And it's a film launch, right? So whenever you go and watch a film, what's the most important thing when you go and watch a film? Popcorn. So I've designed a My Dog sized popcorn box, because of course you've got to, haven't you?
Got to be done, hasn't it?
It's got to be done. Yeah. So I was just talking to Angela, my project manager, earlier on today, and she was just like, I've just ordered 18 boxes of popcorn. And I was like, how big are these boxes of popcorn? I reckon it's probably enough popcorn to fill this room that I'm in at the moment. But so I'm hoping there's enough for everybody over the 4 days that we're open. But you'll get an exclusive My Dog sized popcorn box to sit and eat and watch the film with.
Brilliant. That's just fabulous. I'll wish you the best of luck with it all. I'm sure it'll be amazing. And good luck driving around London.
The joys of how many fees am I going to pay for congestion charge and ULEZ and all those bits and pieces?
I stayed in London once for a week, and I got more in congestion charges than it cost me for the hotel. That's why I said it. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to take up some of your precious time today and do the interview. It's been really good to catch up with you. I'm sure there's loads we've missed that you've done over the last couple of years, but I think we've covered quite a bit. So, I'm pleased with that. And thanks for your time. It's very much appreciated.
Always lovely to chat.
And if you like what you've heard, then please subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscribe button at the bottom, and there'll be loads more interviews to come. Thank you very much. Cheers.